Hello friends, good afternoon and welcome to EduSet Live Lectures. Dear friends, today in International Relations we will be talking about India and South Asia. In that we will try to understand how India's South Asian policy and how South Asia analyzes India. To discuss this topic, we have with us our subject expert, Professor Sanjay Bharadwaj. Professor Bharadwaj is Professor in South Asian Studies as well as he is the Director of Energy Studies at School of International Studies, JNU. Without further ado, I would like to welcome Sir to our studios and request him to start the lecture. Welcome, Sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Abhijit, for giving this opportunity. Good afternoon. Today I will discuss about India and South Asia, and mainly I will focus about what do you understand about South Asia, what are the characteristics of South Asia, how many states are there and how they have interstate relations, and there I will also discuss about the India's neighborhood policy, what it had been since 1947 to till date, and how South Asian countries are looking at us, looking at that India in formulating and making their foreign policy towards India. So this is the main focus that we will discuss today, and that would certainly help us to understand India's relations with South Asian countries and their interstate relations in the context of identity and its politics in this region. If you're looking at this map, in fact, if you're looking that the South Asia is an Indo-Centric region, and where you can say that this constitute about 8 states in the region: India, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Maldives. These are the 8 countries that constitute South Asia. If you are looking the geography of this region, that you see that India is bordering with all the South Asian states, and hardly any states except Pakistan and Afghanistan is bordering with each other. So it's a Indo-Centric region in a way. Before 1947, if you are looking, that you are finding that this entire South Asian region, including Afghanistan and today's Pakistan, Bangladesh, these were part of one civilizational affinities, or you can say this subcontinental history is a history of civilizational spread to the sovereign entity. That how this civilization, Indus Valley civilization, Gangetic Valley civilization, how this civilization had been shaped in sovereign entities in post 1947, or you can say post colonial period. So you see that there were many nationalities, communalities and ethnicities or ethnic identities in all the South Asian countries, and they were having transnational linkages in post 1947. If you are looking that linguistic conversions of these South Asian countries, you see that Bengalis are in Bangladesh, and Bengalis are in India, Punjabis are in Pakistan, Punjabis are in India, Nepalese are in Bhutan, Nepalese are also in India and also in Nepal. So you see that Tamils are part of Sri Lanka, and Tamils are also part of Indian states. So this is these ethnic and communal and nationalistic compositions had formulated states somehow towards the sovereign entities, but because of these transnational linkages, they are defying the boundaries and having continuing the interaction with each other. So if you are looking that India and neighbors, that it's basically it's part of common ecological organic systems. They are common rivers, mountains, oceans they are part of entire South Asian region. It doesn't belong to one country. If you are looking like Ganges river that originates from Nepal and flow in 5 states of India and enters in Bangladesh. So it's part of like 3 states of South Asia. In the same manner, Indus river is also originates from Tibet and enters in Indian states, Jammu and Kashmir, and then go and enters in Pakistan. So you can see that they are also part of this river, also part of 3 states, including China, in fact. And the same manner that if you are looking, Brahmaputra river also flow from India to Bangladesh and fall in Bay of Bengal. So you see that we are part of one ecological system. We have one ocean systems, one part of all these South Asian countries. We are having also common heritage of culture and tradition, shared historical legacies, civilizational affinities, and ethnic communities that I have discussed in that. Particularly if we are looking that we have the shared historical legacies from the Vedic period to the Mughal period or to the British period. We have been part of one history, and that had later on emphasized in the sovereign entities by different phases, like Pakistan. When you talk about Pakistan history, they do not consider, they do not involve, they do not discuss much history of the Vedic period. They are more focused on Sultanate periods and Mughal period of that. But of course, what is most important that we are politically divided, but we have common problem of underdevelopments. So you see that this homogeneous region is having a lot of commonalities to cooperate with each other. But what is more important is that we are the least integrated region in the world. If you are recently, we have certainly gone about 6% of trade, but earlier it was less than 5% of trade. Inter-regional trades were among South Asian countries. So what is the basic problems and basic issues in South Asian countries? If you are looking the characteristics of the post 1947, that there is a systemic asymmetry in the real power of the regional states. In case of size, economy, and military, there are smaller states. There are small states like Bangladesh, Nepal, and Sri Lanka. There are the states like in the middle power in the region, the Pakistan, and that there is a regional power. You can say India. So there is a systematic inequality in its size, in its economy, and of course the military. And what this the asymmetries is generating is developing mistrust and differentiating threat perceptions of these countries. If you are looking that our entire military programs are moreover guided with moreover driven towards the China's military programs, and what the Pakistanis and Bangladeshis and Sri Lankans have their military program, they are having India in their mind, because India is a regional power, and India is a bigger country in sense in its capacity and its economy. So what is that this asymmetry is developing mistrust and differentiating threat perception among these South Asian countries, and what further had basically developed that ill-defined political geography that in the post 1947 during or you can say during the partition, when this subcontinent was divided into initially 2 states, and in 1971 it has become 3rd states. That was defined by the Radcliffe Award, as popularly known. This commission, they have drawn the boundaries between these states, and later on these boundaries had become Radcliffe blunder in South Asia. If you are looking the nature of the border. If there are land border, riverine border, maritime borders, there are enclaves or adverse possessed land that bordering these states, and there were disputes on the borderland between these countries, and some of the part of the border were demarcated and the less part of the border was undemarcated. Recently we have signed a land boundary agreement with Bangladesh where 6.5 kilometers border were undemarcated, and this border also constitutes mountain, hilly region, terrain, plain, and also this is part of you can say we are having porous border with Bangladesh, with Nepal, and that creates a lot of problems or trans boundary crimes in this region, and also leads towards the problem of migration, human trafficking, drug trafficking, arms trafficking among these countries. If you are looking at the length of the border, that Bangladesh has the largest land border with India. It is about 4,096 kilometer the border, and China is the second one, 3,488 kilometer. Then Pakistan 3,323 kilometers, and then there are smaller states. So India is bordering with these South Asian countries. China is also is there having the second largest border with India. So if you are looking, this ill-defined political geography had become a problem areas in between these South Asian countries. And what is this nature of the border and nature of the border and that complex ethno-religious dispersion defying the geographical boundaries, because people were having historical linkages, matrimonial alliances, cultural alliances, linguistic alliances across the border, and whenever there are festivals and there are anything between the two families, the people used to cross the border legally and unlegally. So they are defying the border. If you are looking at the Indo-Bangladesh border, that in some cases it happens that the front door opens in India and the rear door of the house is open in the Bangladesh sides, and the boundaries are separating one government buildings because it was not drawn on the ground. It was basically that had been demarcated, being sitting in the library by Radcliffe Commission. So this has become this nature of the border, this nature of the South Asian regions and asymmetries are further developing mistrust and differentiating perceptions among the people. And what further it is contributing, if you are going with the next point, is that diverse political system. If you are analyzing the South Asian states political system, India has become independent in 1947, and after that we have done fairly good in institutionalizing democracy, and we have become the largest functional democracy in the world. But the other South Asian states, if you are looking, Pakistan, that half of its independent period had been under the military regime and military regimes, and still they are struggling to institutionalize the democratic institutions and the policy, particularly the foreign policy issues, that in most of the cases Pakistan government, civilian government doesn't have control. It is moreover controlled by the military and ISI, and particularly the policies related to India, Kashmir and Afghanistan. This is so because of the lack of democratic institutions and in Pakistan, and military had remained a significant, very dominant factor in Pakistan politics. And in same manner, Bangladesh had also been under the military regimes from 1975 to 1990, and rest of the period it had been under the democratic regimes, but it had faced the political standoff, political instability and confrontational politics, and that had not helped Bangladesh to institutionalize its democracy in the country. And the other countries, if you are looking, where we were having two monarchies in the northern Himalayan region, Nepal, that had gone in the transition from 2006 to till date. They have implemented their constitutions, but still there are lack of consensus at the national level regarding the constitutions. And of course, Bhutan has also started democratizing its political system from 2008, but certainly that the Bhutan's democratization process is from top to bottom, where the Nepal's democratization process is from bottom to top. And if you are looking, Sri Lanka had also been the victim of 30 years civil war. So you can see the diverse political system, that the change of frequent governments in these countries could not develop a sustained South Asian policy, interstate relations in these countries that had been changed and changed whenever the government had been changed in any of these South Asian countries. If you, for example, if you are looking in case of India and Bangladesh, then whenever BNP was in power, India and Bangladesh did not have that much of cordial relations, but whenever Awami League was there, that had been very cordial, smooth relations. So you can see with the change of the government, the relations between the two countries had been changed. In the case of Sri Lanka also, like during Rajapakse's period, the Rajapakse government was more tilted towards China, and now Sirisena government is having better relations with India in comparison to Rajapakse regime. So you can see that this diverse political system and change of frequent political the governments in these South neighboring countries had developed adhocism in its policy towards each other. And what it led sustained confrontation and recurrent hostilities among these South Asian countries. So if you are looking the policies of India's policy towards the South Asian countries and the other the South Asian countries towards India, I'll go with we'll go with the India's policy with South Asian countries. During the Nehruvian period, if you will see that the relations were moreover dependent on mutual coexistence, respecting to each other's territorial integrity and sovereignty. Nehru was more having an internationalist approach. He was looking more South-South cooperations. He was a supporter and promoter of democracy and peace and harmony all over the Asian countries, and he had also gone with the Asian Relations Conference in 1947. So he was looking more over cooperations and harmonious relations among the Asian countries, where of course South Asia was also part of his and he tried to develop good relations, fairly relations with all the South Asian countries, and he wanted to resolve all the issues amicably with the South Asian countries. And when the crisis of Kashmir has emerged, he had thought that let us resolve this more amicably, and he has taken it to the UN to resolve this issue. So he was having more of internationalist approach in his dealing. When after 1962 war, India had shifted its policy towards more realism, pragmatism, and that had been the policy of India post 1962, when India faced another two wars with Pakistan in 1965 and 1971, and particularly that 1971 was the landmark where the crucial shift in India's neighborhood policy, and that we term it that Indira Doctrine. That Indira Doctrine, basically it is moreover based on reciprocity, or you can say that we moreover had focused on geostrategic considerations because in 1971 war, that the world were on the verge of third World War, when Americans and the Chinese were supporting to Pakistan, and India was facing problem of refugee and problem, and they were Bangladeshis, they were facing of civil war and crime against humanities and atrocities from Pakistan army. At that stage, that India had asked support from international communities, from America, from other Western world, but did not get sufficient support from support from any of these countries, and finally India had gone with USSR, and we have signed peace and friendship treaty with USSR, and after that USSR had helped us to resolve the issue where India was suffering from refugee crisis in eastern region. So and finally this in 1971, with the victory of India in Indo-Pak War and with the Bangladesh independence, India has fairly drawn its foreign policy, or you can say it's a Indira Doctrine, and there were clauses like India has no intention of intervening in the internal conflict of South Asian countries, and it strongly opposes intervention by any country in the internal affairs of any other, and India will not tolerate external intervention in conflict situation in any of South Asian country if the intervention has any implicit or explicit anti-Indian implication. No South Asian government must therefore ask for external military assistance with anti-Indian bias from any country. So these are the major aspects of the Indira Doctrine, you can say. And then there is a shift in the foreign policy of India in post 1990s, because the post 1990s, if you are looking, the world was moving towards the globalization, and the entire all the economies, all developing countries and Western countries' economy were moving towards the liberalizations and privatizations, and all the world basically were integrating economically. So at this stage, when after the collapse of USSR and in the unipolar world system, India had also rethink its South Asian policy, particularly keeping geo-economic interest for the country, and we were also moving to build our economic strength and wanted to sustain economic growth for future. So we had articulated a foreign policy under the foreign minister I.K. Gujral in his speech in London in September 1996. The doctrine is composed of 5 points. The first point is, with its neighbors like Bangladesh, Bhutan, Maldives, Nepal and Sri Lanka, it does not ask for reciprocity, but gives and accommodates when it can in good faith and trust. So basically we try to develop a policy based on non-reciprocity. So there is a shift in India's policy from the reciprocity to the non-reciprocity. And second aspects of this doctrine was that we believe that no South Asian country should allow its territory to be used against the interest of another country of the region. And the third was that none should interfere in the internal affair of another. And the fourth point, all South Asian countries must respect each other's territorial integrity and sovereignty. And finally, they should settle all their disputes through peaceful bilateral negotiations. So there is, you can say, there is an extension of Indira Doctrine from geostrategic to geo-economic, and that had more focused on non-reciprocity with the South Asian countries, particularly Bangladesh, Bhutan, Nepal, and Maldives and Sri Lanka. So this is a shift in India's foreign policy towards the neighboring countries in post 1990s, you can say, and that had further because India, particularly if you are looking in 21st century, that India had emerged an economic power, that India had started doing fairly good in its IT sectors, IT solutions, service sectors, and Indian economy had started growing around 5.5% to 6% of GDP. So India had been recognized as emerging economic power and emerging middle class economy in the world, that had given India as a status of regional economic power. And certainly that the second important development, what we said, that we have gone the nuclear test in 1998, and that nuclear test had given a status of nuclear power in the region. So by now, in the 21st century, India had become an economic power, India had become a nuclear power, and that certainly drove the attentions of the extra-regional powers, particularly the United States, that had significant shift in its approach towards India. They had started giving more importance to India in South Asia. When you can see when Bill Clinton visited to India in 2000, he was here for 5 days, and moreover it has appreciated us India for its economic development and had thrust for more economic integration between United States and India. So from there, India had got a self-confidence in its military power, in nuclear power, as well as economic power, and that self-confidence had given a policy that with the neighboring countries, the UPA's neighborhood policy with the neighboring countries, we will have a developmental priorities. Now we will develop with the neighboring countries. Let the neighboring countries take the leverage of economic growth of India, and India will push towards a greater integration into the global market economy, and necessity for foreign policy to focus on economic relationship with big powers, especially with regards to energy resources, and there the neighboring countries, the smaller countries of our neighbor had become important, particularly Bangladesh, that we wanted to have a gas pipeline from Myanmar to India, and Bangladesh had become very significant factor, and we had thought that let us take the Bangladesh into the developmental board so that we can progress together. Pakistan had also become very important country, particularly to ensure our energy security, that we were aspiring to have gas pipeline from Central Asian countries and from Iran, and you have seen that the Tapi gas pipeline and India-Pakistan Iran gas pipeline, we are still trying to get them through the Pakistan territory, but we have not become quite successful in this mission. So in this process, we were moving to a deeper integration towards the South Asian countries, because it was required. It was required for more economic integrations, more economic cooperations between the South Asian countries, and one more important aspect was there, that India was also trying to become the permanent member of UN Security Council. So it was a move towards it was a regional diplomacy for a global gain, because the international communities were raising a questions to whom you will represent. Though to whom you will represent South Asia, that is the home of 1.6 billion people, but all the South Asian countries are not with you. So to change the perceptions before the international community that no, we have minimum cooperation with the South Asian countries, we have brought a significant shift in our foreign policy towards the neighboring countries, and we try to bring them to join us in developmental drive. And I think if you are looking, you are analyzing the foreign policy or the South Asian states relations, now India is doing fairly good, and it is having better relations with Bangladesh, with Sri Lanka, with Bhutan, with Maldives, and of course we are also in process to have a closer ties as we had historically with Nepal in near future. Of course, Pakistan had remained a significant factor and actor in India's South Asia policy. We were trying to have better relations with Pakistan, but because of its approach towards terrorism, because of its transnational linkages with the terrorist outfits in South Asia, had spoiled the relations in last few decades, you can say. So we are having I've discussed that UPA's neighborhood policy, and that India viewed as having a responsibility to help other states in transition to open economic policies and democratic politics in the regions. So there is a shift in India's policy towards the geostrategic to geoeconomic integrations. But what is most important shifts had been taken place in India's policy towards the neighboring countries is during the Modi period, you can say. I will certainly say that we had enough progress during Gujarat periods, and of course we have done fairly good during the UPA 1 and UPA 2, but what it was required that we required, it was required the execution or the implementation of the policy, and there Modi had come out with more firmly and more strongly to develop the better closer relations with the neighboring countries. And in that process Modi had basically had given a policy of neighborhood first policy, that neighbors are in the first priority, and during his oath taking ceremony he has invited heads of all the South Asian states to his oath taking ceremony. That had given 3 clear-cut signals to the international community. First, it was that there are minimum cooperation, at least minimum cooperation among South Asian countries, and they can come together in their happiness and if they are in crisis. So that message has been given that there is a scope of minimum cooperation among these South Asian countries. Second, that it also given a message to particularly China. We try to minimize the increasing influence of Chinese in the neighboring countries, what China is doing in the past 1.5 decades. So it has been given that it was a move towards minimizing the Chinese increasing influence in these neighboring countries. So these were the signal towards before the international communities that we South Asian countries have wished to come closer, have wished to develop together, and in that process, if you are looking, Narendra Modi, Prime Minister of India, had gone. His first international visit was to Bhutan, and after that Bhutan he had gone to Nepal, and from Nepal he had been that visit had been very successful in Nepal. We had given unilateral aid and assistance to Nepal, and then the third visit was to Bangladesh, and that was also very significant impact on South Asia's policy when we had finalized a land boundary agreement with Bangladesh. That was very contentious issue, very crucial issue between the two countries from 1947, and we tried it to resolve it from by Nehru Noon agreements, Indira Mujib agreements, and then we had signed a protocol on land boundary agreement in 2011, but we could not finalize it because it was not passed from the parliament. And finally, when Modi came into power, he had taken this issue to parliament, and we have successfully passed this land boundary agreement, and that had been implemented very effectively. It has resolved not only the territorial disputes, it has resolved not only the bilateral irritants in between two countries, but it has resolved the humanitarian issues, because the people living in the border areas, particularly the enclaves, where India had about 51 enclaves and Bangladesh had 111 enclaves, and the people were stateless, people were educationless, people were security-less, people were health services-less, had been equipped by all these social and economic issues by resolving this crucial land boundary agreements between the two countries. So you can see that Modi had significantly trying to develop a cordial, conducive and very strong relations with the neighboring countries, including China and including Sri Lanka and Maldives. Of course, we had also tried to resolve and with issues with China, and what we had asked China to have better economic engagement. We have mobilized Chinese investment in South Asia, in India, particularly in infrastructures, developing the fast train rail corridors from India, from New Delhi to Chennai, and from New Delhi to Mumbai. But it has not been substantially successful to mobilize the Chinese investment. Regarding Pakistan, you can say that we had, in fact, India and under Modi, we tried to normalize relations with Pakistan. We had gone to Pakistan without any reservations and any thing in our mind, but Pakistan did not reciprocate in that manner. Pakistan has reciprocated in terrorist attacks in Pathankot, in Uri, and all that, and I think that irritated India and Indian government, and we had successfully gone for the surgical strike to dismantle the terrorist outfits in Pakistan occupied Kashmir areas where Pakistan government had been supporting for many years. So there is a significant policy shift, you can say, from the reciprocity to the non-reciprocity, and from geo-strategic to geo-economic. But what most important thing had happened in the policies, what India had been very systematically brought a shift in its approach towards the neighboring countries, from new unilateralism to the constructive unilateralism, you can say. That particularly India had been very unilateral in its approach of development, and not considering historically about the neighboring countries when it was going for any developmental plans. But now we had started taking constructive unilateralism. No, we will alone not develop. We will also help the neighboring countries to develop substantially, and for that we had given about $9 billion line of credit to Bangladesh, and also to Nepal. Nepal for its economic development, and also we had also helped Sri Lanka to develop its rail line from Jaffna to Colombo. So we had been very positive, providing economic assistance, aid and line of credit to the neighboring countries so that they can develop their infrastructure, and we can also we have also moved towards the physical integrations by signing like BBIN motor vehicle agreement between Bangladesh, India, Nepal and Bhutan. Though Bhutan has not yet cleared this BBIN, but we were trying to have better physical connectivity with these neighboring countries, where Nepal can utilize Bangladesh, Mongla and Chittagong port, and India's Kolkata port had been used by Nepal, and India can also have access to northeastern states through Bangladesh land. That will significantly reduce the distance between northeastern states to mainland of India. So India had had shifted its policy towards the constructive unilateral. What is most important shift in India's policy towards the neighboring countries had been taken, that most of, if you are looking the geography of South Asia, that we are having border with each other, so nature of the issues were also bilateral, that we were having border issues with Pakistan, we were having border issues with Bangladesh, we were having maritime issues with Sri Lanka, and we were having bilateral issues with Nepal. So we were preferring to deal it bilaterally. But in the past few years, we had brought our significant change, shift in our approach towards bilateralism to multilateralism. Now we are looking, suppose like Ganges water disputes between India and Bangladesh, we considered it is more over bilateral issues. But now we have started taking a basin-wise approach, and there we will take all the countries which falls in the basin of Ganges water, where Nepal, India and Bangladesh will constitute a committee and will resolve what Ganges water issues together. So we had brought a significant shift from bilateralism to multilateralism. These are the significant shift in India's policy towards the neighboring countries, from unilateralism to constructive unilateralism, from reciprocity to non-reciprocity, from bilateralism to multilateralism. So this is all, if you are looking this the shift in foreign policy, we had been and then you can also see the aid and assistance, that 84% of India's aid and assistance line of credit had gone to the South Asian countries, where Afghanistan had also been second major recipients of the economic aid of countries. So these are the significant issues. But how we are looking these South Asian countries, that is one point. But how the other South Asian countries are looking at us, that is very important, very significant point that could be discussed. In fact, our approach towards the neighboring countries, being a regional power, or you can say that being centralized, located in the region, but how the South Asian countries are looking at us, that is very important point. So I try to understand this with this diagram, that through domestic domain, or you can say making of foreign policy towards India, how these countries are looking at us. Moreover, if you are looking, there are three constituents in these South Asian countries. There are liberal streams, there are radical streams, and there are realist streams. So if you are looking, that liberals basically they believe moreover, I said that moreover in historical legacies, civilizational affinities and linkages, and they believe in common socio-cultural affinities, and they feel that we were part of one civilization, we were part of one culture, so why we do not cooperate with each other. So they are basically, you can say they are liberal, they are progressive, they are pro-democracy, they are moreover, they are more secular and tolerant towards each other. So, and they believe moreover in coexistence and mutual benefits to each other. So they believe all these liberal streams people, they believe that why we do not cooperate with India, let us cooperate, let us develop together, we should have better relations with India. India had been and we have been, India had been supportive in the crisis whenever the neighboring countries were required. If you will see that recently the earthquake had been taken place in Nepal, India had unilaterally gone to Nepal to help them to rescue the people who were suffering from the earthquake. We had also gone to Pakistan when Pakistan was suffering from the floods. We had also helped Bangladesh in their liberation war. So India had been very firm. So they are thinking like why we do not have better relations with India. This is one constituent. And the second constituent, they are basically, I say that the radicals. The radicals, they moreover believe, they are conservatives, you can say, the conservative streams. They believe on religious affinities. They are having the parochial class interest, and they believe in unilateral traits. In fact, these are the forces who believed in the partition of 1947 on the name of religions, and they have partitioned the subcontinent, and they are having one kind of approaches that the developing religious construct in their survival, that it is a Muslim Pakistan, it is a Hindu India, it is that kind of parochial class interest and religious affinities did not help us to develop cordial relations. Basically, their approach is moreover religiocentric, and ideologically they are dogmatist and they are fundamentalist. So they believe that all the problems, if there are any problem of drought and the flood and underdevelopment, poverty, unemployment, they are basically putting that because it is because of India, it is because the India is not cooperating us, with not helping us. So this is one. The another. So they do not want to have good relations between India and with them, and they are looking the other extra regional powers to counterbalance, to balance India in South Asia. They are going to China. They had been going to Americans during Cold War period, and in the post Cold War periods they are moreover closer. They are moreover having more economic engagement with China. So you can see this is the second class. They do not want that India and Bangladesh and India and Pakistan, India and Sri Lanka, or India and Nepal should come closer. So they believe it that I'm sure they're using this kind of discourse for their political interest and for political security. They want to remain cultivate the anti-Indian constituencies in the neighboring countries. But there are very important, very significant class that has emerged. I can say the young generation. Young generations basically they are the generations who believe in profit maximizations. They believe in better education. They believe in better health services. They believe in they are basically, you can say that they are the rationalists. They are power maximizers. They believe in market economy, and they believe in coalition builder for profit making. And for that, they want to have relations with any country, either with India, with China, with America. So any country who can help them developing their economy, who can help them generating employment, who can help them developing, giving better educations and health services to the people, so that they are believing that if we can get a better education in India, we will be happy to go to India. If we can have better health services from India, we will go to India. It's not that we are counterbalancing bringing China in these regions. This realist stream are these are the young generations. You can say in case of Bangladesh, in case of that is a post-military generations. It is, you can say it's a post-Cold War generations, that new generations are there. And whenever these realists, they support the liberalist, one type of government comes into power, and they have better relations with India. And when these realists, they are frustrated and they support the radicalist forces, the another type of governments forms in the neighboring countries, and that distance India from each other, and they go closer to Americans, and they go closer to Chinese in recent past. And you can see that in case of Nepal, that KP Oli government or UML government were there, and they were trying to counterbalance India by bringing China in Himalayan regions, and they have signed about 9 MOUs. You study carefully that out of 9 MOUs, 8 MOUs are not at all worth. They are not viable to implement, except the developing Pokhara international port. So you can see that in case of Bangladesh, also in Sri Lanka, you see that lot of investment had been taken place in Sri Lanka during Rajapaksa periods. But what it was generating, the first thing, that whatever the line of credit were coming, that was on very high interest rate. Second thing, they have systematically generated a dependencies on China, so that Sri Lankans will never come out. So that these radical forces, they are bringing these extra regional powers to counterbalance India in the region, and this is creating one kind of uncomfort. This creating concerns towards India, and what the Chinese are doing. The Chinese are coming to the India's periphery and trying to develop a sting of pearl. You must have heard about sting of pearl policy, where China is developing infrastructure and ports in its neighborhood. That in Bangladesh, they were approaching to develop Sonadia and Chittagong port. In Myanmar, they had approached to develop Sitwe port. In Sri Lanka, they were moving towards developing Habbantota port, and of course that is the most important and crucial issue that had brought into the notice of the international community, is developing the Gwadar port. And Gwadar port is basically the port. It is connecting. It is known as China-Pakistan economic corridor, that is passing through the Pakistan occupied Kashmir, and it is a disputed land where China is investing about $46 billion. So that is raising concerns for India. I think we have to be very alert about the Chinese encirclement and engagement policy of South Asia. That this policy of China will pose a threat to India's geo-economic as well as geostrategic interest in near future. So we have to develop a counter balance strategy, and for that purpose, if I'll say correctly, for that purpose, India had brought a significant shift in its policy towards the neighboring countries, so that we can minimize the conflict with the neighboring countries, and we can have better developmental ties. We can bring them in our developmental boards, so that we can develop together, we can prosper together, and that would be the approach that would help India to become a regional power, to become a Asian power, to become a global power, and that would strengthen India's claim in the UN security, to become the member of the UN Security Council, and that would certainly will give more credibility to India as a as a largest functional democracy in the world. I think which in the direction we are moving, the direction will certainly will realize our dream, and we will be a player. We will be a significant player in the global platform. So these are the submissions of mine that we can understand what is India's neighborhood policy, what is South Asia, what are the characteristics of India and South Asia, and how South Asian countries are looking towards us. So we try to develop the stability in the neighboring countries. We should try to develop a pro-Indian constituency in the neighboring countries, and we should try to develop a better market economy and progressive forces in the neighboring countries, so that we can prosper together, we can develop together, and we can keep away the extra regional powers from the region. Is it okay?
Dear friends, due to paucity of time, we have to stop our lecture here. On that note, we would like to thank Professor Bharadwaj for coming to our show and delivering this wonderful lecture. And thank you, dear friends, for watching our show. Stay tuned and keep watching. Thank you.